All right, a very good afternoon to everyone. All right, when it comes to maintaining a competitive edge, all right, personalizing the customer experience takes top priority. All right, traditional banks can take a page out of the digital-only bank's playbook by leveraging banking automation technology to tailor to their products and services to meet each individual's customer's needs. For example, all right, banks can leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning to monitor and analyze customer spending patterns. Using this data, banks can then partner with retail firms to offer customers discounts on frequently purchased products through their banking portal. Another key element, all right, to withstanding disruption is to monetize the data. Traditional banks can use data science algorithms to detect hidden patterns in the way consumers can purchase and utilize products and services, which can in turn be used to improve product engineering or increase sales. Not unlike how some businesses use data to understand how their customers spend money. For example, banks can use real-time data analytics to reveal clues about customers' specific needs and interests, and also craft marketing campaigns, including targeted emails and SMS messaging, and also special incentives based on the information that is obtained. All right. According to research firm McKinsey, data-driven marketing has the power to increase return on investment by 15 to 20%. So now we have talked about banking industry concerns and how to address them. Now is a time to take a closer look at how banking automation fits into this picture. All right. And today, I'm so happy that what Anisha has introduced. We have a great panel of great panelists, which is going to expound on automating Southeast Asia's BFSI sector. Okay. So let me begin with the first question. All right. We have got today, Sonny, Cynthia, Daniel, Dodong. All right. Let's pose the first question. All right, to Daniel and Dodong. We start with Daniel. Daniel, how would you rate AI or machine learning? All right, artificial intelligence and machine learning. How does it impact, all right, the different aspects of banking and insurance, okay, be it compliance, credit, or loan decisions, and also fraud detection. All right, let's hear it from Daniel first.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It's great to be here. I think the previous fireside chat also actually addressed a lot about it already. So what I'm going to do is just to also highlight from what I see in the market. I think a lot of the AI and ML and how it impacts in specifically in the banking and insurance industry is it really goes into a few areas. Like when it comes to improving the customer engagement, we are looking at the ability for maybe even recommendation engines to cross-sell suitable products when they actually machine learn in terms of what is the behavior of the customer and prospects. There are also other areas where it can also improve the customer engagement. Very typical one, I'm just sure that a lot of you probably have heard before, is in the areas of maybe chatbots and natural language understanding. Right, it really helps to scale the customer service within a bank, because you think about it, that there's only so many agents that can actually service the customer. And I myself is a good example. I just hate to be on the IVR and just waiting for the music to keep turning around and around. I'd rather be on a chat and be able to actually get my answers as soon as possible. So with a chatbot and an NLU, it really helps in terms of the incident deflection. It actually reduces the ticket volume. What it ends up being is actually faster response and improved customer experience for the bank itself. And of course, the other area where machine learning helps a lot is actually when it actually auto-categorizes the request from the customer, whether be it a particular service issue or particular request that the customer is having. It automatically, based on what it understands, based on the history of what it has interacted throughout, you'll be able to actually route it to the right team first time and correct time, right? And the other areas, right, in terms of maybe even improving the fraud prevention, to actually flag anomalies in credit card spend and transaction. Now this is where the past fireside chat also talk about the fact that there's this area where predictive capability is still probably quite far away, right? But I think we are getting closer, right? With the ability to flag out anomalies, we are at the beginning of being able to provide some kind of predictive capabilities. And this is where even in the use case of insurance claims, you can actually look for fake claims coming from the bad actors, or even high claims that are coming from areas where the claims are not normal in terms of the value of the claim. And of course, the third and the last area which I want to highlight is really the credit risk evaluation. It could be used to actually provide even auto approval whenever a customer actually asks for credit increase. And when you look at that, the machine learning would have really investigated and understood that this is a normal spending pattern, and this is just a one-time thing, and we will actually provide an auto approval for it. And of course, with this, the companies, the banks and insurances can also provide even personalized offering of services based on the credit risk. I hope that helps.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Daniel. I mean, great. I mean, the key takeaways that I'm able to glean from what you shared, basically, we start off with customer engagement, the impact, ensure that, we have got a holistic customer engagement. And then from there, we are able to auto categorize in terms of the buckets, of the needs, and then, to be able to flag out, all right, anomalies, all right, in terms of fraud detection. And lastly and finally, in terms of the credit decisioning process, where auto approvals are being put in place. All right, fantastic. Thank you, Daniel. Let's move on to Dodong. Dodong, would you like to share your views?
Yes, hi. Yeah. So jumping off from detection of anomalies, the first thing that we see how AI and ML are evolving our bank is through exactly that, right? Suspicious and fraudulent transactions alerting. So the way we evolve is, originally and traditionally, these systems are very rule-based, and you can't really just jump in to have an AI system there, like a flip of a switch, right? So what we see happening is that we start with a rule-based system and then augment that with AI technologies. And then right now, what happens is that instead of AI detecting the anomalies, it auto disposes those rule-based systems. So say my rule-based systems generate 1,000 alerts. AI will be able to say reduce those false positives by 50%, 70%, depending on the risk appetite of our stakeholders. So now, and eventually down the line, it will evolve itself such that you get enough data coming from that rule-based augmented approach to an independent autonomous AI detection logic. So it kind of you get to build your own, it gets to learn on its own and start to figure out anomalous transactions on its own. And then we can, and eventually you'll end up with a hybrid system of combination of a rule-based and automated AI disposition. So that's pretty cool once we see it. And during the time when we're doing it, you kind of see the data evolving, and you get more and more of those feedback loops happening, and we can feed back to the machine for it to learn. Another thing that we have as a specific challenge to the Philippines is that we're a third world country, and the traditional ways to do credit rating is not really available for a lot of Filipinos, right? We have kind of I think the last number was 70% of Filipinos are unbanked. Now, leveraging data, we can get non-traditional sources for alternative scoring, like telco information, and it enables us to offer loans or services, banking services, to people who are traditionally risky when we look at it using their data. So that's so those are a couple of different ways by which AI and ML and data in general is impacting our banking industry.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Dodong. I mean, again, very good insights. So I guess what you are saying is first define the rules. From there the rule base will be basically be able to categorize and also define the parameters of the needs of the consumers and also the customers. All right. Thank you so much, Dodong. All right. Let's move on. I mean, we have touched on AI and also machine learning. How about, we move on to the next next part, automation. We can look into the process improvements and so on. We look into RPA. So I guess the next question I would like to basically, direct it to Cynthia and Dodong. All right. The question goes, how would you say RPA, all right, is helping banks and financial institutions increase their productivity by engaging customers in real time and leveraging the immense benefits of robots? So, Cynthia, start off with you.
Okay.
What are the insights on this? Thank you.
So perhaps I will start by giving a very brief discussion on what kinds of tasks RPA is most commonly used for. So generally, RPA is often used to automate a specific task or a sequence of tasks that does not require human judgment. So for example, the very basic example would be RPA is often used to scrape data on the customer reviews, thus then giving the feedback data back to the company, and then they could use it for further enhancements in the future. So this does not need human judgment and thus very easily performed with RPA. But when I'm diving specifically into the use case where RPA helps financial institutions to engage the customer in real time, so one of the more centralized items would be the customer service. So specifically to more of the insurance industry, we have customers who always inquire their information, for example, policy detail, for example, claim status. So responding to this question often demand time, and RPA may not be that suitable if we rely solely on it. So it goes through a bunch of verification and validation. Thus, if it's combined with other technologies such as AI, we can speed it up. And thus, that's where we can reply using chatbox, email, SMS, and whatnot. In Malaysia, we have this SMS. I'm not sure in other countries. So basically, it's short text messages. So I'm pretty sure this automated software that is powered by AI, meaning it's just that it's taught to converse and respond just like how a human would. So once verified, the RPA can then thus continue to connect to SQL to pull out the necessary information and then revert. In the example I just gave, this is where RPA is used to increase productivity. But in this big enhancement or advancement in the COVID, more and more people are tuning to the internet to get the answers due to the restriction and having to adapt to current circumstances. So as you may have noticed, this is just only RPA at play, responding to customer inquiries or to responding to any other process that we have in place. So I believe that if we combine, and the combination sometimes is considered called as cognitive automation. So this is where it reduces the repetitive tasks and thus expedite the claim or expedite any processes. And this is where the insurance industry, at least from my perspective, is moving towards too. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Cynthia. So what you're saying is, RPA itself is good. I mean, we can basically automate the process, but RPA alone is not enough. All right, you need to have RPA together with AI, and then I like the way you use the word cognitive automation. All right, so I guess ultimately is a combination, is a powerful combo in delivering the best customer service. Thank you, Cynthia. Let's move on to Sonny. Yeah, Sonny, can I have your view on this, please? Oh, sorry, it's Dodong. Sorry. So sorry, Sonny.
Sure.
This question is directed to Dodong.
Yes. So let me start by how we kind of laid the groundwork on how RPA is automated in Union Bank. So it's really part of a bigger picture transformation journey for digitization. When we started our automation journey, we looked at very specific processes in the bank and said, yep, these processes are what we want to target for implementing bots on. I think at that time there were around 600 different back-end middle office processes that we said these are very people-oriented, and we want to leverage the power of bots to execute, right? And Cynthia's right? If you look at RPA as a standalone, they kind of look like macros on steroids for me. So it's really an automation thing, but they have limits, right? So what we did was we deliberately package these bots as functions, and we actually have 41 of them right now, and they have names, they have employee numbers, they have ranks. We promote them actually depending on their functions, and they have supervisors, and we always attach dashboards and analytics to to monitor their performance. And what that how that kind of changes the way we operate it is they no longer are macros. They are people, they are employees. They're not really people, but they're employees with functions. And we augment them with cognitive AI so that they can actually do their job. So it's like you have an employee and they need training, right? If they have a new capability that they need to, be able to learn, we use our AI and data science platforms as well as our API infrastructure to enable those bots to use otherwise a capability that would otherwise not be available to them. Based on time and motion studies, we were since we're talking about efficiencies, we were looking at around 600% efficiency for one task. So a task that took 15 minutes for a human to execute took around 2.5 minutes on we literally had videos and timers happening there. So and add to that the fact that these bots never sleep, then that kind of multiplies the productivity of these bots. A kind of a caution, so to speak. Not all automation is suitable for RPA. So it's really it has to be a very planned, deliberate approach to automation. That's it. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. All right, thank you, Dodong. I mean, good. I mean, you echo what Cynthia has mentioned. RPA itself is not enough. But basically, what you're saying is, we have to configure the bots to ensure that they're able to perform, they're able to articulate, and they're able to transform. All right. The what do you call that? The requirements, and also in order to meet the customer service and so on. All right, thank you so much, Dodong. All right, so okay, wow, let me see, let's move on to the next question. All right, we have touched on AI, machine learning, and also we have touched on RPA. Now let's move on to another exciting questions that I have prepared. Basically this round I will direct it to Sonny and Cynthia. So first off to Sonny. This will be a tough question. All right, are we ready? All right, the question is the current workforce ready for complete digital transformation? Sonny, let's hear from you.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. I think, Steve, you framed the questions very nicely. And I can see the flow as well. If you look in the first questions, it's focusing on how can we serve customers better? And then we're talking about how the AI, the RPA, and so on, increase efficiency, improve processing, and then make it better, and so on and so forth for customers. And the last question is pointed to me is about the employee now, the people who are doing it for customers. So the first flow earlier is we do everything for our customer-centric. That's for one end. On the other hand, some says that if you look after your employee, they will look after your customers. Some people say that. So I'm going to talk about this now. Employee, all of us are employee. We know that. Part of the big organizations. And we've been there as well. We've been at many transformation, I guess. And we know how it feels. Things that you normally do suddenly disappear. God, I normally do this. And suddenly I'm not allowed to do this anymore because it's been, taken over by machine, for example. I used to take the phone. I cannot do that anymore. As a bot now, taking my job. What should I do? This is exactly in a way it can be. We can see it as a parody. Oh, I don't know what to do now. What should I do? But on the other hand, it's a dilemma for company if they're not prepared. So I would suggest in Maybank, for example, what we've done here is we look at the preparation. We're focusing on that. if you want to do any automation, if you want to do any RPA related, if you want to do any machine learning, AI, and so on and so forth, that will enhance the processes, will improve efficiencies, get better advisory for people, customers. Who actually is going to be impacted on this? Which part of the organization will be impacted by this? So we're going to look on that. If we understand, we will train them. So we will retrain them to understand the concept of this, number one. Number two, reskill them. So this is I think quite common in many organizations, that evaluate the employee skills. We look at individually or within the group. Is this related to middle office, front office, or back office? What is actually the gap? Fill that gap with training, and then offer on-the-job training to the existing workforce, for example, and then possibly promote from within. So I would suggest that if you want to look on these aspects, of those 4 aspects that I mentioned earlier, in the more granular views, then hopefully we can identify what actually needs to be done for them. Because obviously, when we're talking about automations, you cannot do everything in one go. There's a phases, and that phases will have impact on certain aspect of the organization. And then we need to look on that as well. So do we prepare ourselves better, or do we not? Are we scared of this enhancement? If we are preparing ourselves with that, I don't think we're going to be scared of those. So that's my view, Steve, that we need to be prepared and look at the holistic view and more granular.
Thank you, Sonny. So what I'm hearing is, Sonny, is what you're saying is, before we even embark on the digital transformation, I guess it all boils down to people. And what you mentioned earlier is people. That means we must be, first of all, equip the people, all right? Basically, empower them first, all right, in terms of the skill set and also the mindset. People comes first before automation happens, all right, before automating a process. So I mean, that is actually, a very, what do you call it, a strategic type of approach, People come first and the rest will fall into place. Thank you, Sonny. Let's hear it from Cynthia then. Cynthia, over to you.
Stephen, I'm in the same group as Sonny. So yes, people comes first. That's what our group has been pushing for. And I believe that not only we must be prepared, we also must accept failure. So let's say we must be daring to fail, and then we move on to something else. Right, Mr. Sonny?
Correct. Yes, indeed.
So now that Mr. Sonny has covered the people portion, I'll cover on the operational process portion of what we've been roughly doing. So I would say the short answer to a complete digital transformation will be yes. Why? It's that because partially in the last 2 COVID, I'm pretty sure everybody is more ready for digital transformation now than 2 years ago. We are more acceptable to whatever that is being put on our plate at this point. And while it's not been easy, and I would say, but it's important that we also recognize that, like I said, dare to fail, that we will never have 100% complete digitalization in place. Because why? Not that we are not capable, but more on the fact that it keeps changing rapidly. So we must always be on our toes. We must always train, re-engage, and know where we are. And one of the key things I believe our people always have is persistency. No matter what hard blocks that we face, we move forward. So that's what my point of view is. And I would also say that in terms of our customers, they are becoming more digitally savvy. So we as their financial provider from the insurance side, we will need to grow even faster so that we're able to cater to what they want and what they need. 2 years ago, many would not have considered buying a pandemic cover. 2 years later, pandemic cover is everything that's most important to us. Customer has changed, the landscape has changed. Life insurance previously was not as saturated. Now people are thinking about it, not only on the middle age, but more even youngsters are even thinking about it. So things changed. And while again, it's not easy, but I believe we are doing much better at this point of time. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. So I guess your views is similar to what Sonny is Sonny is coming from people side, and yours is more on, it's also from people side, but more on the mindset. All right. I mean, I heard you mentioning a few times dare to fail. All right. And so you're saying that as an organization, in order for digital transformation to succeed, the mindset has to come into play. It's always make sure that we are always there, to ensure that we're willing to try new things, and we can fail, but we have to pick ourselves up, and then continue to improvise, continue to improve, continue to advance. All right. So yeah, I mean,
I just want to add a little bit on this, Steve. I think
sure,
Cynthia, Cynthia has already touched a very nice view on that. So wrapping up on these people views, we know that we can enhance their skills through training and everything. We can enhance their knowledge through education. One of the aspects that most difficult is what? Is the behavior, the culture, either individually or organization. If you want to change things swiftly, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen unless you prepare the culture. And this is one of the most difficult.
Yes.
I guess
yeah.
I think Cynthia agree with this.
Yes. We never tie ourselves down to just one plan. Must keep changing, adapting, moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Sonny. Thanks, Cynthia. I mean, now you have brought up another crucial point is in terms of culture. So you have got people, and then you have got the mindset. All right. So I guess the culture cultivates the mindset too, because when you have an environment where you empower people to have a positive mindset, for a daring mindset, a dare to fail mindset. So I guess that actually augurs well in terms of digital transformation. All right. Thank you so much. I mean, that those are great insights. So I'm sure the audience will be able to benefit, in terms of how they can drive the digital transformation forward. You talk about culture, you talk about people, you talk about the skill set, mindset, and so on. All right. And most importantly is, the entire organization has to drive forward. All right. Move forward in terms of one direction. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question that I have. All right. I mean, it's easier said than done. All right. Now we look into the challenges. All right. So it is not something that I think Cynthia mentioned, it cannot be done overnight. And I guess, how do we change, we have got an organization that has got legacy, how do we change the entire culture, the entire mindset, the legacy systems, in order to drive automation? All right. Let me pose this question to Daniel. Daniel, over to you.
Thanks, Stephen. I think part of what Cynthia already covered is also about mindset, right? So one of the challenges. I mean, if you look at it, changing, overhauling legacy system is a system, right? Any system can be overhauled, right? To move to the latest. But the hardest thing is really about the mindset. So this is where part of the challenges is how do you overcome this kind of mindset? And there is also another constant thought from the people who are used to doing certain things, right? You'll be like, this is how I do it, this is how we do it, right? Or they are looking for, this is the 1001 capability or examples of what we have, and we are transforming, but I still want that 1001 plus whatever there is. So it becomes something that's very, very difficult, because you're trying to boil the whole ocean. So we have examples from my side, right? What I see is we have customers like Shell, who already started working with ServiceNow about 5 years ago. And when they first started, they were actually looking at, whatever they had previously, everything they had to be on the system, including whatever business requirements that has been there. And as a result, when they implemented ServiceNow, they end up with so many different systems. I would say is very complicated, and the whole executive finds that they can't really manage it. And you know what? They made a decision to say, look, we are going to replace. And what they do, they replace ServiceNow with another ServiceNow. So what happens was, it is one where they decide now, let's really take the best practice and execute it instead of trying to look for everything that's supposed to be there and then put it back in. So that is where this time around they actually made pretty great progress, and are able to actually improve the overall user experience and move a lot faster with higher velocity. And that is one of the things. The other thing that I want to highlight is also, of course, when we are talking about moving from legacies, there will be a lot of technical legacy dependencies that are going to be there. But at the end of the day, is it about taking the technical capability and moving it to the new one? Not really. It is about business outcomes. So when we are doing this kind of overhauling, sometimes that part of things are also gets forgotten in a way. Everybody is just focusing on the weeds. So we also have examples of our FSI customers who were actually originally started out with going through the journey with us in terms of looking at all the technical parts of the things. But at the end of the day, the whole solution actually feels too heavy, and there's going to be too long a time for value. And when the executive starts coming down to the working team and say, look, where are we? What are we trying to do here? Then that's where when the whole team start to redefine business issues, they are actually talking about, look, for this IT asset management issue that we want to transform from legacy, we have to be looking at how we get the business outcome. And this is where, when they start looking at this, it changes the whole framing, right? Everything that they do, they actually refer back to, are we getting the business outcome? And that's where the points that I want to highlight. The next thing that, just as a precaution, business outcome is not technical outcome. So, when the team understands this, that while there's a link, but having the entire technical outcome doesn't really mean the business outcome is there. But if the business outcome is there, the technical outcome would have to support it, right? And last but not least, I want to say executive sponsor is super important. Of course, without the right executive sponsor, any project would just become a technical project, and any kind of overhauling would really not be beneficial. I'm sure there are a lot of other points that I still have, but in the interest of time, I just want to hand it back, and hopefully what I shared here will be useful here. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I mean, you have summed it up so well. Technical outcome is not business outcome. All right. So I guess this will be a catch phrase for everyone. All right. I mean, I hear you. I mean, it's good to know the legacy challenges that every organization faces. It boils down to to be able to take the bold decisions. All right, to change. That's number one. Like what you mentioned just now, replace ServiceNow with ServiceNow, and it's also very crucial to have a sponsor, or the executive sponsor at a more senior level in order to be able to drive basically the transformation agenda. All right, thank you so much, Daniel. Let's move on. Hear the view from Sonny then. Sonny, your view, please.
Yes, I think I agree absolutely with what Daniel mentioned about the outcome. What's the benefit that we'll achieve from overhauling the legacy? How can we quantify that? And what is the ROI? That's the thing that we also face every time when we have a new initiative dealing with the CFO. Show me, Sonny, what's the benefit? Give me the ROI. When are we going to get this? So why we need that? That kind of question is a simple question, but it's not easy to answer because the implication is massive. If you want to replace a legacy system, do you know what's the term and condition of the old one? Do you know how impactful is that to us? Not to mention the pushback from the end users who is already there for ages. This system is with us, Sonny, for more than 15 years, and you want to replace it? Yes. I'm gonna have to defend that, and then I think everyone here also have been in the similar situation, I guess, and I can see Cynthia laughing as well, and Daniel also, and it's just quite familiar to us, I guess. We need to prepare that numbers. Come on, all night. Come on, team, do this. Is it going to be happening? I hope so. I hope so. You know. So yeah, what does it mean? It means that replacing system that already is showing a result, showing benefit that works. You don't really need that. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, if you are certain that you can get the benefit of it, as Daniel mentioned, the outcome, business outcome, then yeah, go for it. But again, Cynthia, I quote that as well. Cynthia mentioned, you need to put a little bit of room of failure. We need to prepare for that. We're not perfect. You know, when you're in this project, there's always something. There's a bit of creeping, you know, the scope moving on that way, or maybe timeline, or someone's not well, and they cannot, you know, perform very well and doing this data engineering stuff and so on and so forth. Oh, we want to move this on-prem into cloud now. Let's do that. It looks like cloud is cheap and everything. Oh yeah, there's a certain aspect of that. You only see the end of it. The process is not that easy. The process will take time. The process can be painful. So we need to justify that, I guess, before we going forward in overhauling the old legacy. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. I'm saying that we need to be careful. We need to be certain. We need to be bold enough to understand what is the implication of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. Wow, I like the way you put it. You know, I guess it's true. You know, whenever we want to change, you know, or we want to invest into transformation, into technology, into systems. All right. The first question is always asked is ROI. You know, what is the ROI? All right. So, and most of the time, you know, ROI is, you know, people used to what they call that. You know, I mean, at the what they call that at the senior level. All right. Most of the time is they will ask ROI. You know, how much are we saving, and then how much are we getting in return? All right. Those are all tangible, but people fail to realize that, you know, they are intangibles. All right, digital transformation sometimes is not in terms of monetary terms. All right, we are talking about customer engagement, customer experience. I mean, especially, you know, how do you measure in terms of, you know, the voice of the customer, VOE, you know, and you know, so so that's like VOC, the voice of customers, and then, you know, and also VOE, voice of employees in terms of how do we equate, you know, the customer satisfaction versus the employee satisfaction, all right? Because I mean, it shouldn't be lopsided, because both are important, because, you know, you have happy employees, you will have happy customers. Okay, so some of these questions good, you know, I mean, great. I mean, it is honestly, you know, to the panelists, you know, it's actually a very good debate today. You know, how do we automate, you know, Southeast Asia's BFSI sector, all right? And there are, you know, there are so many nuggets that we are able to glean from each of you. All right, you touch on many things. You know, I guess, you know, we have many key takeaways and many key points. All right, in the interest of time, you know, I just want to, you know, just go back to the panelists once again. Okay, what would be, all right, a parting thoughts, all right, a key takeaway that you would like to leave it with the audience today? All right, what is that key takeaway that you think that, you know, in the past, you know, probably, you know, the past 40-50 minutes, you know, that the audience couldn't remember anything, but this will be your defining moment. What would you like to part with the audience? All right, let me start off with, you know, Daniel. Daniel, what would you like to share with the audience? Your parting remarks, key takeaway.
Sure. Thanks, Stephen. You've heard me share the use cases already, right? So I would say, right, the AI and ML, or even ML alone, right, can really solve a lot of issues, and definitely will have a lot of benefits. As I've also shared, right, don't forget what is the top business outcomes that your organization is looking, and focus on that. The other thing that I have not shared due to the you know, lack of time, I just want to call out is, you know, if your organization is looking into embarking on this, when you decide on the business outcomes, remember the foundation is most critical. And this is where AI and ML will need to depend on a clean data, a very clear single data model for it to work on. All right, and this will actually ensure success. And of course, this is the time where I think a lot of organizations, when start investing in foundation, you probably won't see much yet, because just like any building, when you build a building, the first foundations, there's really nothing that you see. Everything is happening underground. And with this itself, once your organization can actually focus on clean data and a very key platform and single data model, success will definitely follow. That's what I'm going to share here. Thanks. You're muted. Stephen, you're muted.
Oh, my apology. Thank you so much, Daniel. All right. Thank you. I mean, you have shared, most important, most crucial foundation. Okay. Let's move on to Sonny. Let's hear it from you.
Yes. Once the foundation is properly laid, I would suggest that with one sentence, start small. The old wisdom, start small. If you can fix things.
Yeah, how small? How small, Sonny? How small?
How small? You make it yourself. I mean, depends on each organization, depends on the journey that you have. Each organization have their own journey slightly differently. You measure that, you assess that. So the key in here, the part of the foundation, in my view, is the strong assessment on that. And then what you embark that, people say it as a pilot project. People call it as whatever you want to call it, it's just up to you, but start small. If you can measure it small, if you can replicate that and scalable, do that. If you make mistake, at least you can, reduce that mistake into one small part area. So, start small. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. All right. Okay, good. I mean, it actually flows with the flow. Daniel touched on foundation, and you mentioned start small. All right, one step at a time. All right, let's move on and see whether we can continue with the flow. Let's hear it from Dodong. Dodong, your view, please.
Yeah, similar to Sonny's point, right? Transformation is an overwhelming word for a lot of people, because it's such a huge undertaking. And the caution there is that it usually triggers analysis paralysis, especially in senior management, senior executives, especially if this is very new to you and you really don't know what you're doing yet. So same advice as Sonny. Adopt Agile. Just do it. Just do it in small pieces. And instead of working on your presentations to show the ROI, just show it, right? Get it done. Get a small use case done and just show it. And then be ready, to Cynthia's point, be ready to make mistakes and be ready to also pivot and adjust your approach. So I think that's one of the crucial elements of Agile, right? If you do something in small pieces, you make small mistakes, and then you course correct. So I guess that's it. And lastly, never forget the people factor in the entire in the entire conversation. Automation as a word strikes fear into employees just because it may replace them. So you have to have concrete strategies that you communicate to your employees that you don't get left behind. We have plans for you. This is your training approach, etc., etc. So that they know that they still have a part in the organization. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dodo. All right. It actually rhymes. I mean, in that sense, have the right foundation. All right. Small steps. All right. But Dodo wrap it up very well. All this has to get started. Just get it moving. All right. Just get the foundation moving. Just get the small step moving, and be agile. And then ultimately, the people comes into place. The people matters. All right. Thank you, Dodo. Thank you, Cynthia. You have got something, very, very heavy on shoulders to ensure that, we are able to conclude the takeaway, in a seamless flow. All right, Cynthia, over to you.
Suddenly my connection is not so good. Anyway, definitely echo. Basically, start small, just do it. I think that's what my team always complain that I use too often, that they're so bored of me. But I think the main key takeaway is that we live in an era we really cannot afford to be stagnant. You must move. It doesn't matter which direction you move, you must move. You can measure in many ways. You can be in tangible, non-tangible value, ROI, can be using a use matrix, voice of customer, whatever form. But we just need to prepare for sudden change. We must prepare for new discovery. And well, you can't prepare for this. We must accept failure. Fail fast, recover instantly. Then that's where we truly celebrate the fruit of your labor. That's it. That's really what I have.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. I mean, you wrapped it up very well, you know. Let me go back again to foundation, all right, to Daniel's foundation, all right. Daniel mentioned, you know, we have to have the right foundation, all right, and then moving on to Sonny, and Sonny says, you know, we start a small step, you know, most important thing is one step at a time, you know, and then Dodo basically continues with saying that, you know, we have to get it started, all right, be agile, and then, you know, focus on the people. And Cynthia, you wrap it up very nicely. Whatever said and done, continue to move on, continue to move forward, continue. So I guess what Cynthia is trying to say is never give up in terms of digital transformation, all right? Automating Southeast Asia's BFSI sector. All right, friends, all right, to the audience, you hear it from Cynthia, Dodong, Sonny, and Daniel. We have to set the right foundation, move on, keep moving, be agile, and never give up. All right. So that is a message. That's a key takeaway for this afternoon's panel discussion. And with this, you know, thank you so much. And we would like to hand it over. I want to thank the panelists and would like to hand it over to Anisha. Over to you, Anisha.